Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And like the thumbnail says for this video, there's really only two types of debt. There's good debt and bad debt. I'm going to talk a little bit about each, and I definitely want you to become engaged on this video. Drop comments, make sure you subscribe, like, and share as well. Show some love to the channel. But also hit me with some comments to let me know what you think about what I have to say. So, debt overall is more bad than good, but there can be good types of debt. Let's focus on some bad types of debt first. One bad type of debt to me, and it's always going to be a bad type of debt, is very expensive cars with poor terms. So, if you don't have good credit and you go buy a $70,000 car, you're probably getting an interest rate somewhere, I don't know, 18, 20, 22, 24%. It's going to result in an extraordinarily high car payment. And that car that you're driving around flossing in, you're not flossing a car, you are just flossing and showing off your car payment, because it's probably going to be 15, 16, $1,700 a month, maybe as much as 2 grand when you include insurance. And guess what that car is doing every mile that you drive it? The value of it is going in reverse. It's going down. So that's just almost always bad debt. A stupid car. I've seen it be a robber of wealth in my community, because normally when I'm looking at people's personal finances and they're really, really bad, mostly when I'm doing this with black people, because I'm black and I got a lot of experience looking at black people's financial reports and credit reports. If their finances are totally wrecked, uh, 80 to 90% of the time, I can find a bad auto loan in there somewhere, an auto loan that had horrible terms that they willingly signed up for. So the first type of bad debt I want to highlight is cars. The next type of bad debt I want to highlight is leisure, like financing luxury trips. If you can't afford to go across the seas, maybe you just don't need to go across the seas. Maybe you need to find a nice domestic flight for 150 bucks each way, and get a good deal on a hotel and go enjoy a nice vacation. If you can't afford to go to Dubai or Europe or Africa or all these other places that people go, that they can't afford to go, because if you got to use all of these broke people apps, Klarna and all this stuff to pay and pay all this interest and whatnot, you're getting beat. You're paying for the trip twice. And if you couldn't afford to pay for it once, you sure can't afford to pay for it twice. Okay? So, next type of bad debt is leisure that you just can't afford. The last type of bad debt that I'm going to focus on is weddings. I know people that are taking out 10-year notes to pay for a wedding, and the wedding's over in 30 months. So it didn't even make it 3 years. That was a horrible investment. That was hustling backwards. You'll never get the return out of that. If you enter the person that deep and you can't afford the big wedding that you want, have a very small, informal wedding with guests that really are truly happy for you and want to see you succeed, and maybe actually go enjoy a nice, modest honeymoon. Don't break the bank. Don't put yourself in debt for years for a wedding, because what if your marriage doesn't even last? So think about those three things, okay? Cars with horrible terms, always going to be bad debt. Uh, Leisure stuff like luxury trips that you can't afford, you know, if you're financing it on really horrible terms and just paying way more than the trip cost that you couldn't afford in the first place, also bad debt. And then luxury weddings that you're just not prepared for. You're probably setting yourself up for a short stint of matrimony, because you'll be bickering about money all the time, and that will probably lead to a not so amicable split. Okay, now let's focus on sources of debt that could be good debt. Real estate is first. As those know that have seen videos on this channel, I've been a licensed real estate broker for a really long time. I'm not as active in that business currently, at least not on the sales side, more on the leasing side. So if you need units leased, definitely reach out to me. But all the overpaying and buying way above asking price and whatnot, that's not winning, number one. Number two, that's really not a good investment. You coming in the door with negative equity, whether you like it or not. That's not good debt. But buying real estate, distressed sales at wholesale prices with lots of room for growth of value, for that value to scale up and up and up and up, buying in the right area, but also under the right price at the right terms. Now, that's probably good debt. That's debt that will probably give you a return on what you invested into it eventually when you move on to the next property. The average person stays in the property maybe 5 to 8 years. So, when you move on to the next property, if you bought it properly, you almost certainly will see a significant return. Whereas if you don't buy it properly, if you're overpaying and basically you buying way above asking and all this craziness to begin with, that's probably not such great debt. It's probably not. Credit cards. Credit cards can go either way too. A credit card that's used properly, where you're spending what you can afford to pay back in a month, is going to cost you nothing more than what you spent. In other words, it's same as cash. And if you got really good credit card savvy and you have cards that have all these awesome rewards packages available, you might make hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on how much you have to spend in a year, just from rewards points. So free money given to you for buying and making purchases and spending in ways that you would have anyway, but except now you get a kickback, and that money can be used for things like, a short excursion of travel, or maybe a major purchase or something you had planned, and the points can buy it for you. So that could be good debt. Okay, that could be good debt. Another thing that could be good debt is business loans that have an intention to get a return. So taking out a business loan that's going to help scale your business, increase your bottom line, increase your revenues overall, not just that year or in that period, but for years to come, that can end up being awesome debt, really good debt. And in order to get it, you need to get your credit in order. Your FICO score, you should be shooting for, if you're not shooting for something that starts with an 8, at least shooting for a number that starts with a 7 and the second number is at least a 5. At least do that. Okay? So there's my thoughts on some instances where debt is almost always bad, where debt is bad sometimes and good sometimes, and instances where the debt is usually good debt to have. The last thing I'll touch on is skill building. This could be through traditional college. It could be through trade schools, building skills that are going to increase the revenue coming to you incorporated. That's almost always good debt too, as long as you utilize the skills that you go to gain, sharpen the tool of those skills, and get as much revenue infusion to you incorporated as you can out of it. Okay, so that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Make sure that you drop comments, and I'll be back soon because, again, this is a finance channel first. I cover a lot of topics, but it's usually always a financial twist. This was definitely a financial video. So thanks for checking it out. I'll be back with another video soon. Until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep on building, ascending, scaling, everything that has to do with rising, going up the next rung on the ladder. Keep doing that. It starts here. It starts in your mind. Then it manifests through your actions. Okay, guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.